Assalamualaikum. We are Group 4 and in this video we will thoroughly discuss regarding the increasing crime rate in urban areas in detail. My name is Aziana and I will proceed with the introduction part of this video. Crime rate in urban area today has become more serious in present day. The continuously increasing rate of crime in urban area has created numerous of problems in the city. Crime is defined as an illegal act for which someone can be punished by the government. Social disorganization theory is the study of how the characteristics of cities and neighborhoods influence crime rates. Characteristics such as family disruption, relative poverty, and racial segregation are likely to lead high levels of social disorganization, which in turn increases the likelihood of crime and criminal violence. As a result, community with high levels of poverty, population growth, ethnic heterogeneity, family instability, inadequate housing conditions, and poor education are more likely to be organized and have greater crime and violence rates. Typically, violence and crime cases are found to be more frequently reported in big cities rather than rural areas, regardless the types of crimes. This leaves us with the question, why crime levels in urban areas are much higher than rural areas? Due to such reason, we will thoroughly explain how crime in urban area has affected the livelihoods of the citizens in metropolitan area through detailed discussion of issues or problems and the implications in this video. This video will also include solutions provided by the government in capturing said issue through clear suggestion and recommendation. First issue which causes the increase of crime rate in urban areas is the emergence of immigrants. Immigrants are said to migrate to Malaysia for a pursuit of better job opportunities. The proportion of foreign immigrants has risen dramatically over time. As the number of foreign immigrants in Malaysia grows, locals are becoming increasingly concerned about security and its influence on the rate of crime. The rise in foreigner-related criminal cases in Malaysia has sparked worry. Between 2016 and August 2019, the Star newspaper published a police record of 42,451 criminal crimes involving immigrants ranging from theft, house break-ins, and motorcycle theft. According with said number of cases reported by the Star, it is sufficient to prove that immigrants have contributed towards the increasing number of criminal cases mainly in urban areas. This is because many immigrants are not only financially destroyed but also ethically perverted, people who are unable to adapt to their home nation's circumstances and similarly unsatisfied with their lot in the new nation are willing to participate in various social movements. Having their financial condition being demolished, these immigrants are prone into committing acts of crime out of desperation in sustaining their livelihood in a foreign nation. In a nutshell, existence of immigrants in urban areas sparks crime rate in a serious manner. The subsequent issue which gives rise to increase of crime rate in urban area is desertion of education among youth in Malaysia. The desertion of education means the lack of education among youth in poor families. The expense of education is not only funded by the government but also by parents or carers guardians who sustain the day-to-day educational activities either secondarily through taxes or directly through personal expenditure. In importance to educate their children, parents must cover a variety of expenses. These expenses include school fees, uniforms, books, and equipment, as well as dinner money, field trips, and other expenses. While many of these are fairly uniform, as they are set by schools with the help of parent-teacher associations and the government, there are some expenses that may differ significantly among pupils, such as extra learning resources and tuition classes. Although some parents may be able to cover the entire expense of education, other poorer parents is unable to send their children to school due to unstable financial condition. According to Ministry of Education data, 20,000 students dropped out of secondary school in 2011 before completing their SPM exams, with the majority of those who dropped out belonging to the B40 low-income group. Children who grow up with parents that don't have the ability to emphasize the significance of education due to the impact of family stress are more likely to live on the streets, join gangs, use drugs, or even wind up in prison. The crime rate is inversely proportional to the perpetrator's educational degree, according to a statistic. This is because uneducated children have lower chance in securing any stable job positions. When these children turn into adults, they will not have sufficient income due to their lack of education and lack of skills. Committing acts of crime will be an easier option to gain income in order to secure their own livelihood. The third issue is high unemployment rate among local citizens. The existence of a positive association between unemployment and crime is predicted by economic theory. There is also a research which discovered that a greater unemployment rate has a causal association with higher property crime rates. Apart from that, due to the repercussion of the COVID-19 pandemic, there is a significant increase in the recent unemployment rate. The COVID-19 outbreak and its related lockdowns impeded economic activities, driving many enterprises to close and their staff to lose their employment. As implied by the Human Resources Minister, Datuk Seri M. Saravanan, 99,696 Malaysians have lost their jobs since the Movement Control Order was enforced on March 18 and until November 27. Lockdowns order which is imposed upon every Malaysian citizens have prompted employers to offer lesser vacancy spots due to the factor that they are unable to operate during lockdowns. This will then cause unemployed individuals to engage themselves with criminal activities to continue surviving. According to a study, unemployment is positively associated to criminality because the marginal return from lawful earning activities is lower when an individual is jobless, and thus one is more likely to engage in illicit activities. Generally, a 1.0 percentage point rise in unemployment raises property crime by roughly 1.1 to 1.8%, but has no effect on violent crime. In essence, unemployment rate does contribute towards rise in crime rate, as explained priorly.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nushaira Yohanis binti Syahrul Hisam and I will explain the next issues. The fourth issue is poor governance in managing country's economy state. A government that governs the country needs to ensure the public lives in a peaceful and harmonious environment. Most citizens want the country that they live is in a good situation with no crime. Increasing of crime rate is one of the most problematic issues that may scare the citizen and the foreigners who come to the country. However, the crime rate happened because of the neglect attitudes from the government itself. The government ignores the public problem, especially in terms of finances. Usually, citizens commit crimes because of the desperate lives that they face. In Malaysia, a citizen needs to pay taxes. This is one of the causes that burden the citizen to have money to survive. Moreover, the citizen is unable to accommodate their basic needs to live a good life. Thus, they do commit a crime to ensure they manage to get extra money for themselves to survive. So the government needs to do a new procedure or policy that's suitable for the situation by giving appropriate help to the most citizen. Unfortunately, in Malaysia, the main problem is because the government is unable to search for needy citizens and giving help to them. The government has no proper procedures to help out the needed citizen in the urban area, meaning government overlook the citizen that really in need. The government's procedures to distribute the money or help is not proper and too complex with the most citizen. The citizen who poor hard to know or get the information from the government because of the resources of information is lack. Other than that, the issue of unfairly distributed money also happening in Malaysia. This issue is correlated with the crime rate because the citizen will do anything to get the money for them to survive. For example, in this situation of pandemic COVID-19, the economic situation is affected. Thus, most of the citizens need money to survive. By ensuring to get the money, they will do anything that able for them to get it. So, the next issue is the increasing rate of urban poverty in Malaysia. Poverty is a problem where a person unable to finance their family and themselves. The citizen who is facing poverty only able to pay taxes, pay the debt and the basic needs, but hardly for them to buy any expensive stuff. Moreover, the citizen lives in urban area hardly to accommodate their life because of the living expenses in the urban area is more expensive than the income they receive. Other than that, crime rates are strongly related to joblessness and low wages in Malaysia. Before the pandemic COVID-19 happens, most companies reject the new workers because the person is a fresh graduate or has no experience in the working field. However, nowadays in Malaysia facing a pandemic COVID-19 which the government makes new amendment in every sector, especially in the industry sector. For example, in this situation faced by Malaysian people, which is pandemic COVID-19, most of the citizens being fired due to the COVID-19. This is because the government urged the industrial sector to stop their production. The main reason why the government makes this kind of move is that to ensure the number of COVID-19 cases decreasing, but unfortunately the decision affects the income of the country and the company. So it affected the employee's position in the workplace. This is because the company will fire or remove its employee. As a result, it makes the employees jobless and hard for them to get income to finance their necessity. So the number of criminal activities like rob at the petrol station and many more always appears in the newspapers. So last but not least, the issue of rapid changes in the social environment may lead to increasing the crime rate in the urban area in Malaysia. Rapid changes are a good sign to develop the country. However, it becomes a problem when the citizens who live in that country are not able to develop their living. It is not helping at all. The country will not be able to become a developed country if the citizens still living hard, meaning the living expenses of citizens are not compatible with the country's development or changes. When the country changes due to the new era of globalization, the citizens need to follow the flow, but the problem here is where the citizens still living hard to themselves and the family. The reason why the citizens still unable to moving forward because they still facing several issues. For example, the high cost of living. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nushaira binti Mustafa. The first implication of the increasing crime rate in urban areas is get the strong security to control the immigrant. It can be related with the issues of immigrants cause increase in Malaysian urban crime rates. An immigrant consider his or her change or finding work in the city at any given time. It also occurs in developing countries and has various attractive factors such as employment, stability and to seek protection. There are various problems from the social and security aspect of the country. This is because Malaysian citizens that they feel scared when meeting with the immigrant in public place and home environment because these immigrants have a large group and can be seen everywhere. Based on the current issues, the problem related to foreign immigrants is a concern in this country. Extent in this regard of law, especially during the movement control orders implemented by the government to combat the COVID-19 pandemic. Due to the problem, the situation argued that the government to implement OPS Pantene to curb illegal immigrants from infiltrating into the country through red lane by road or waters. The second implication is the income parents for education. Education play an important role in achieving quality of life because education is one of the most important indicator in the quality of human life. The causes of children not being able to continue their education or having to drop out of school is due to their parents' poor income. This causes children to be forced to work alone, not to school, and so on. The poor often have difficulty achieving high academic levels, and the less educated find it difficult to break free from the shackles of poverty. Malaysian government has taken steps to improve educational skill among students, particularly at the secondary and tertiary levels, such as providing financial assistance through educational support activity. There are still many poor families who cannot afford to attend school. This happen is due to their family income. Then, because they lack education, will also causes various problems to themselves or others, such as crime, lack of knowledge, and so on. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Norehana and I will continue for the next point of implication. So for the third point is many competitors which can be related with issue high unemployment rate among local citizens. Many competitors will lead to stressful situation for certain people who are struggling to apply for a job to survive nowadays. They need to compete among other competitors to ensure that they get the job applied. Fail to get a job might contribute to crime rate which they could not find any job and take a simple way to acquire some money. Nowadays, it is difficult to gain some money for a living because there are too many competitors with better skills, experience and education. This implication can be related with high unemployment rate because it is challenging for them to get any job because of many competitors that might have better qualifications than them. Lack of job opportunities also will lead to increasing crime rate because not everyone has same qualification. For example, if someone only has a SPM as an education background and there is lack opportunities for them to apply for a job because of poor education background. Demanding in work also can lead to crime that can acquire income in easy way if there is no organization or company want to hire them which are illegal for anyone to do it. Nowadays, people are not supposed to demanding in a job that they are applying because of many competitors that might be difficult for them to get the job if they keep on demanding. High cost of living in urban area will make it harder for those who does not have any job and will take a simple way without any consideration. There are too many reasons on why this crime rate are keep on increasing even there is company or organization open for job vacancy more than ever. Other than that, many competitors will affect their confidence level or self-esteem that will make them easy to be giving up and find other solutions to gain some money.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nur Atina Azhani and I will proceed with the fourth and sixth implication of the presentation. The fourth implication is that victims of crime would suffer psychologically as a result of too much stress. Victims of crime frequently have a wide spectrum of psychological and social traumas that last long after their physical wounds have healed. Common reactions include intense feelings of rage, fear, loneliness, poor self-esteem, helplessness, and sadness. It can be said that crime rate in urban area that has been increasing actually cause a lot of stress and burden towards the victim, which will end up making the victims become stressed and depressed because of negative things that happen to them. This will also cause them to feel that they are losing hope to live and low self-esteem, which will end up causing quality life to drop. The lack of support for victims trying to recover from a crime can worsen the psychological harm caused by victimization and make recovery even more difficult. Aside from that, in more specific context for an individual who is working, it costs a lot of money for them to exist in urban areas since everything is simply too costly and they also have to cope with the government's minimum salaries. For example, in Malaysia, it may be stated that some people are required to work full-time in the office during working hours and then continue working as a rider for Foodpanda or Grab to increase their income. This is why many of them are burnt out and fatigued since they must work all day in order to live to the point where they do not get enough and sufficient rest. This will also have a negative impact on their mental health since they will be unable to care for themselves. Furthermore, if an individual has a family and is struggling financially, they may express their rage towards their family members when the burden becomes too much for them, which ends up destroying the ties between each of them as a family. Since the unemployment rate is so high, it may be difficult for someone to find work, causing them to bear an even greater burden.
So for the fifth implication is health problem, which can be related to issue rapid changes in social environment. This health problem happens when people tend to find something to cope with their problems, such as drugs and prostitution. They also affected on how overwhelmed environment nowadays regarding the rapid changes in social environment parallel with the rapidity of technology. There are certain people who will consume drugs to cope with their financial problems. This will lead to crime as they need some money in order to buy the drugs. This kind of behavior will affect someone's health and it will be much worsening if any institution does not prevent it sooner. Everyone is acknowledged by becoming a prostitution, someone can gain money easily. However, it can cause health problems such as AIDS and any other disease. Prostitution is considered a type of disorderly conduct in certain states. In the majority of cases, the crime is offering, agreeing to, or actually performing a sexual act in exchange for money. Prostitution is something illegal to do and it will also increase the rate of crime. Young group also might do something illegal and nowadays there are too many companies or organizations who does not want to hire a fresh graduate. It will make them to find a sugar daddy on apps such as Sugarbook that will make them easy to gain money. It will lead to health problem as they need to give something in return. Their sugar daddy will give money or other stuff. In urban areas, certain people tend to do anything to achieve their best life, even the illegal things that can gain money. That is why crime rate in urban areas always increasing according to the rapid changes in social environment.
The last implication is economic loss, which can be defined as a person's financial loss and damage that is visible on a balance sheet, but not really as physical injury to a person or property. This will occur when urban poverty takes place because many individuals will suffer from not being able to sustain themselves or their families properly, and the final result may be burglary. In Malaysia, for example, it can be confirmed that people are extremely careful even when they are at home, since everyone is aware that there are a lot of individuals who are desperate for money and may do unlawful things simply to guarantee they are able to survive. However, there are a lot of crimes happens in other places than housing area, such as restaurants, supermarket, shopping malls, and others, because people are desperate to put foods on their tables since they cannot afford to pay for it. These kinds of crimes may occur at any time in front of huge crowds of witnesses and even in expensive neighborhoods. From an economic standpoint, crime in urban areas may have a wide range of implications, particularly in terms of economic effects. When a crime occurs, there should be a victim who has lost money or property, or even perhaps their life. This is a waste of a nation's resources. Other than that, the government must also enhance spending on crime prevention measures and put in place an effective public security system. If crime is not a concern, this investment could be diverted to another important things. On top of that, money will also be needed to keep the prisoner and the prison, which is not cheap. This explains that the increasing crime rate will actually cost a whole nation. Crime causes discomfort in society, which is extremely harmful to the social development of the people who live in those places. Crime will also produce plenty of societal issues and have a greater impact on the next generation if they are involved in crime and do not attend school. Without adequate education, people would definitely continue to live in a cycle of crime, causing plenty of other issues in society.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nur Hazwani binti Abu Bakar and I am going to present about suggestion and recommendation. The first suggestion is increasing the effectiveness of law enforcement. We already have so many laws in our country, but unfortunately, many of the law is not being carried out effectively. It is important for the government to carry out the law in effective way and make sure that everyone do their work with responsibilities in governing the country. Most of the authorities will take the responsibilities when the case is going viral. This cannot be allowed since their responsibility is to ensure the safety of the citizens in this country, and the law enforcement must be done on ongoing basis. Other than that, police force should be transparent and accountable to ensure that law enforcement is effectively administered. To ensure law enforcement is tightened, the police in urban areas can take measures such as installing the CCTV to prevent crime, even though it is already done by the authorities, but it is only concentrated in some areas and not in all areas. It may take a lot of spending, but this is one of the effective ways to reduce crime in urban areas. The second suggestion to reduce the crime rates in urban area is provide better education and training programs. If the educational achievements among the young males are increasing, it might lower the probability that they will engage in criminal activities. When they get enough and proper education, they can think rationally and think about the consequences when they do something bad. When they are exposed to education such as civics, manners, and even law, they will know which are good things and which are bad things that can be done. For example, when they have knowledge of the law in our country, they will think before they do something bad because they know what they will get when they are being arrested. It is important for the government to invest in education since it will give more benefits not only for individual but for the society as well. Therefore, it is very important for the government to help the youth, to educate them so that they have a secure job with the education that they have. The third suggestion to reduce the crime rates in urban area is provide a lot of job opportunities through economic growth. Employment opportunities are very important to ensure that the community gets proper employment. They will do anything to support their lives, so it is very important for the government to provide employment opportunities for the community so that they have a permanent job and income. Nowadays, the crime rate is increasing due to the occurrence of COVID-19 in our country, which has caused many people to be laid off. When they have an education, they will start their own business, and for a society that does not have enough education, they will take the easy route of committing crime. The government plays an important role in ensuring that the country's economic growth thrives, because when the economy grows, many job opportunities can be provided to many people. For example, Malaysia has implemented the Malaysian K-Economy Master Plan to increase the country's economic growth to a higher level than other countries. With this plan, the country can create more job opportunities for the community. Okay, that's all for me. I will pass to the next presenter.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Azra Atila. So now I'll be explaining on the recommendation of the issue. Reduce income inequality. Income inequality can be defined as the distribution of income unevenly. Income have been distributed unfairly to the population in the nation. Every country has experienced this income equality. For example, Malaysia. Although the level of median household income rose in 2019, however, the income equality is still increased. In fact, income equality has been existed since 1970s. Income inequality get a concern from society because it will bring negative impact towards them. For example, the occurrence of crime issues and the increase of poverty rate in rural and urban areas. Government are accountable to tackle these issues and reduce income gap of people. Government need equally give the education level regardless of their races and gender. High level of education may develop high skills of people, thus they can get higher income compatible with their skills. Malaysia can also follow the footsteps of Sweden country, whereby they equalizing this possible income of people by implementing taxation and social safety nets. Implementation of progressive tax in Malaysia may slowly reduce this income gap between poor and rich people and also will maintaining the economic sustainability. Second, formulate policy and programs for poverty reduction. Initially, poverty defined as a community that live in shabby home, lack of financial resources and insufficient of necessity of life, for example, insufficient of food, clothes, clean water and shelter. Now, poverty has included in terms of difficulties of access to social services, for instance, healthcare, educational as well as transportation services. Poverty among people has the correlation with the increased rate of crime in the country. This actually cannot be denied because Aristotle also once said that poverty is the parent of crime.
This is due to the high level of stress among people is unemployed and cannot afford for their living. Thus, it leads them to commit crime. Especially in urban community, crime is highly occur due to the high cost of living in urban area. This may stress out people who lack of income, necessity, unemployed and poor living condition. Thus bring into criminal behavior and eventually the person commit crime because they need money to live. Therefore, imposing progressive tax which this has direct impact reducing income inequality, but at the same time it helps reduce the poverty rate as well. Besides financial aid like stimulus package of pre-hiking, by distributing the money according to the groups, facilitate people to buy things for their living. Next recommendation is focusing on people's well-being. Based on psychologist's perspective, well-being is defined as a good living condition of life with a good health, stable emotion, comfortable shelter, enough income and employment. The well-being of citizens is significant for government to take care of. It is not easy for those who live in the country that sometimes having a rapid changes. For example, COVID-19 pandemic, people have been struggled to maintain their comfortable life. For instance, lost financial resources, losing job due company unable to pay them. Due to that, they had to find other ways to survive. Therefore, this damages the mental health of people, then will lead to depression and prone to commit crime in order to survive and have money. Therefore, government are responsible to give people financial aid, job opportunities. Besides, government could also educate people, work hard. People need government to survive also. Therefore, government is essential to always support the society, whether in terms of financial, healthcare, job, motivation and others. Thus, they also will help to reduce the rate of crime, violence, poverty and suicide among Malaysians.
To summarize, crime is a disease that violates people's rights. As a result, it is becoming the interest to everyone in a society. It is argued that as urbanization increases, so does crime. Crime in urbanization has a wide range of issues, implications and suggestions. The government must play a vital role in preventing crime from occurring in the country as it has many harmful consequences. The approaches for addressing this issue must be effectively coordinated in order to generate a success narrative. The general public's knowledge is one of the most important factors of crime prevention. This is critical in ensuring that everyone in society knows their responsibilities. Crime prevention must be based on reliable information about the crime problem and existing programs that may aid in crime reduction. The consequences of crime can potentially continue in a long period regardless of how terrible the crime was. Some people can handle the most terrible crimes with ease, while others might be traumatized by a tiny incident. After all, crimes are still crimes no matter what, and no one should have had to deal with them even once throughout their lives. As a result, it is very critical to guarantee that crime rates in urban areas need to be lowered for the sake of people's safety and the country itself.